All right, the great MCU tier list. So just to kind of warm you guys up to the tier list thing, I start with S tier, which is the best, and this list will go down to D tier, which is the worst. And the way I kind of organize these, well, first off, I did in release order, so we'll be going in order of releases. But I also kind of ranked them in terms of like which ones I would rewatch first. So like S tier are the movies that I would love to rewatch on a rainy day or really any day and just turn it on and be like, oh my god, I love this movie so much. A tier, I still love those movies, but they're not the ones I would revisit first. B tier, I like the movies, but not ones I would revisit. C tier, it has some redeeming qualities, but overall, I don't care for the film that much. And then D tier movies that I will not be rewatching unless I want to go back and rewatch the entire MCU from start to finish. Um, but yeah, that's basically it's basically how I ranked the movies and TV shows here. This list does include the most recent titles, Moon Knight and Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. So let's stop rambling. Let's get into this list. Starting with Iron Man from 2008, the grandfather of the MCU, the movie that started it all. Without this movie, I don't think the MCU would be what it is today. Robert Downey Jr. killed it as the character. Pretty great movie. Not my favorite one, but still love it. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. Now, Incredible Hulk from 2008. Um, I've never really cared for this movie all that much. Edward Norton, didn't really care for him as Hulk slash Bruce Banner. I definitely like Mark Ruffalo better. I wouldn't say like Mark Ruffalo would be my top pick for the Hulk. In terms of people that have played him in live action, he would be, but in terms of just people in general that could play the character, probably wouldn't be my first pick, but I still think he does a good job. As for Edward Norton, I heard that he was hard to work with on set and wanted to change a lot of things in the story around, so sounded like Marvel had a real vision for what they were trying to go for, but in the end, it really didn't do much for me. And the villain was fine, but I don't know what it is about the movie. I just never really cared for it. Haven't really revisited it too many times. So I'm going to go ahead and put The Incredible Hulk from 2008 in the D tier. Now, Iron Man 2 from 2010, also put that in the D tier. Really don't care for the villain of Whiplash. You have some cool moments with like Rhodey in the War Machine suit, and then them teaming up in that giant like globe kind of fixture. You know what I'm talking about. The final battle was kind of cool, but in the end, it just wasn't enough to turn this movie around for me. So that's why I got to put that in the D tier. As for Thor 2011, um, you know, it's not a horrible movie. You got the Dutch angles, which, I can give or take. I think, isn't it directed by Kenneth Branagh? I'm pretty sure it is, and he plays like one of the characters in there, the one of the Warriors 5 or 4 or however many. Um, I don't mind the film. It's definitely not the worst MCU movie. The way they just like bleached his eyebrows and stuff just looks a little unnatural, I guess. So, I mean, it has a decent story. Loki's a great character. Odin's, a terrible father, but it is what it is. Definitely not my first option to rewatch, so I'm going to put Thor from 2011 in the C tier. Now, coming up with Captain America, the First Avenger from 2011. Now, Captain America is probably one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I love Chris Evans, and I just have fond memories of this movie. Uh, Looking back on it, it's not the best MCU movie by any means, but it still holds a special place in my heart. I love period pieces, and especially ones set around World War II. I think Red Skull's a pretty decent villain, not like the best villain of all MCU movies, but it's a pretty enjoyable film for me. So I'm going to put Captain America, the First Avenger in A tier. Now, The Avengers 2012. I also have fond memories of seeing this movie in a theater. I remember not leaving school early, but after school one day going to the movie theater, which was my favorite theater growing up that is now closed but turned into a comedy club. Go check them out. I think it's called Funny is Funny in Lansing, Michigan. But yeah, fond memories of seeing it in the theater. I did have a headache when I first saw it. So it wasn't the fondest memory, but I still loved it because, superheroes were awesome, and they still are. Looking back on this film, it's not great. I mean, Loki is a great villain, but I don't know, just the style of the film overall, I don't care for. I think it mainly comes down to just the film editing and just this overall style of the film that I don't quite care for. But yeah, I'm gonna put the Avengers from 2012 in the B tier. I know that might really make some people angry, but I don't care. This is my list. Um, Iron Man 3 from 2013, I went ahead and put that in the C tier. It has redeemable qualities with the character Harley. I think he was a cool kid in that film. Um, it kind of deals with the more mental health aspects of Tony Stark's character, especially after the events of the first Avengers film. Um, so there's definitely things I enjoy in it. Is it my favorite Marvel movie? No, but C tier I think feels pretty right for that film. Now, Thor: The Dark World from 2013. I didn't mind the first Thor movie, but with this one, it's just awful. And I've been seeing a lot of news reports saying like Benedict Cumberbatch was originally going to play the character that Christopher Eccleston played in Thor: The Dark World. I forget. I think it's Malekith, the Dark Elf, which is the villain of this film. And he definitely dodged a bullet on that one because that was not an interesting villain whatsoever. The only redeemable quality of this film is when oh shoot, what's her name? Kat Dennings says she refers to Mjolnir as Mew Mew, and yeah, that's the only redeemable quality of this movie. Um, so yeah, Thor: The Dark World 2013 definitely goes in the D tier. I don't think anybody likes this movie. On to Captain America: The Winter Soldier from 2014. I got to put this movie in the A tier. It's I almost want to put it in the S tier, but I haven't rewatched it that many times, and it's not one I go back to very often. But I love this story, having spoiler alert, but it has been out since 2014. Bucky coming back, kind of being a brainwashed villain, the Winter Soldier, and just what they did with this character overall, not only in that film but in the MCU, like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh my God, that scene where he's like in Wakanda and you know what I'm talking about. Oof, hits me right in the feels. But yeah, Captain America: The Winter Soldier I think is a great like kind of spy thriller film in a way. Yeah, so I'm gonna put that movie in the A tier. I think it's really great. And it introduces the character of Falcon, which I love that on your left moment in the movie. Um, Coming up with Guardians of the Galaxy 2014. I also put this movie in the A tier. Again, another movie I almost wanted to put in the S tier, but there's a couple things holding me back from it. I don't think the villain is very good. Um, Other than that, I think that's the only complaint I have with it. So that's why it didn't quite make S tier, but I still love the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Age of Ultron, Avengers Age of Ultron from 2015. I'm a lot less cynical on this movie as time goes on. There's one scene in particular that's probably one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU, which is Falcon talk or not Falcon, Hawkeye talking to Scarlet Witch, saying like, I forget exactly what he said, but he said essentially like, when you walk out that door, you are an Avenger, and I'm just like, oh, this makes me want to go fight. I'd probably die immediately, but it pumps me up, and that's honestly one of my favorite moments in all of the MCU. I think it's really great. But overall, I don't think Ultron was as menacing of a villain as they were trying to make him. And the whole forced relationship with Hulk and Black Widow just didn't really work for me. But everything else I thought was pretty decent. But I have to put Avengers Age of Ultron in the C tier. AntMan 2015, also going to put that in the C tier. I love Paul Rudd, don't get me wrong. I enjoy this movie. I love the comedy aspects of it, but in terms of like rewatching the MCU movies, this one doesn't necessarily stand out to me. Think the lead, Paul Rudd, and then like Luis. That's a great character. Excuse me, hiccups. I think those are the real saving graces of the film. just having those comedic aspects, but also, doing the interesting things of having him shrink down and do these, like, make everything look bigger since he's the size of an ant. I think that's cool, but, at the end of the day, the movie doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So the first Ant-Man goes in C tier. Now, Captain America Civil War from 2016 is a movie I didn't necessarily love when it first came out and didn't really love for a few years. I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't like my favorite MCU movie. Looking back on it, I'm a lot more positive about it. The introduction of Spider-Man I thought was really great. I wish they wouldn't have spoiled that in the trailers, but there's a lot of speculation there because that's a big character in the Civil War comic. In terms of adapting the comic to the movies, at the time, they didn't have the rights to a lot of different characters. They didn't set up a lot of characters, so there's only so much they could have done. But, in terms of adapting it from the comic book, it didn't quite do enough for me. But the introduction of Black Panther 2 I thought was really great. Overall, pretty decent film. And the fight between Iron Man and Captain America and Bucky, like, holy crap, great fight there. But yeah, Captain America Civil War goes in the A tier. For Doctor Strange 2016, I'm going to put that movie in the B tier. It has a lot of really trippy and cool visuals. They do a lot of great things with, like, the mirror dimension and stuff like that. And, going through these different universes and introducing magic to the MCU, which I really enjoy. But overall, when I look back on it, this movie doesn't do a whole lot for me. Caecilius, the villain of this movie, while I love the actor who portrays him, he's not that strong of a villain, to be honest. Hannibal Lecter in this film, because, the actor plays him. But he doesn't quite do it for me, to be honest. And the character, the Ancient One, just seems kind of, I don't know. For all the stuff that she talks about, she doesn't seem to, like, practice what she preaches, And that's kind of a theme with Doctor Strange, trying to protect things, but also trying to, like, bend rules to, have things in his favor and win certain fights. But Doctor Strange 2016, B tier, not my favorite. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 from 2017, I am putting in the A tier. I really love this film. It's not everybody's favorite, and most people like the first Guardians as opposed to this one. The overusage of Baby Groot in every piece of merchandise is kind of annoying, but at the same time, he is cute, and there's a lot of great moments with him, but not only him, but the rest of the Guardians in this movie. And the send-off that they have for Yondu always has me dead at the end of the movie. Like, oh my god, just in tears. Ego isn't that great of a villain, but, the aspect of them being like their own family is what makes this movie for me. So definitely going to have to put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in the A tier. Now, the first Spider-Man movie of the MCU, SpiderMan Homecoming from 2017. I was never fully sold on Tom Holland. I grew up with the Tobey Maguire movies. I kind of liked Andrew Garfield, but, Tom Holland, I was just like, he's the perfect age for it. He looks the perfect age for it. So I'm excited. After seeing him in Civil War, I was like, I like it, but I don't love it yet. And the aspects of having everything handed to him by Tony Stark, like his suits and all that, I don't quite like, but at the end of the day, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, so I have to put Spider-Man Homecoming in the S tier. The character, the villain, Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, that reveal that he's Liz's dad in that movie blew everybody's minds in the movie theater, and looking back on it, I just remember that being a great moment in the theater and also being a great moment just watching it at home. He's a great villain. You can kind of understand where he's coming from, which is very important in a villain, to have, like, certain aspects to them where you can kind of see where they're coming from and that they were wronged in some way. And then Tom Holland, I think, just really knocked it out of the park with this movie. So, yeah, he does a great job, that's for sure. And Spider-Man Homecoming is going in the S tier for me. Thor Ragnarok 2017 is also going the S tier. Some of you may or may not be surprised by this, that I'm putting it in the S tier, but, Thor wasn't that strong of a character up until this movie, and seeing what Taika Waititi did with his character. I mean, while the villain, Hela, isn't that interesting to me, everything else about this movie is, I mean, Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster. Is that his name? Yeah, I think so. Um, don't hate me, but Jeff Goldblum kind of plays similar characters in every movie. He just kind of has that energy about him where he just kind of falls into that same kind of role, and I didn't really care for that either too much. But like Valkyrie, Thor, Loki, and Hulk in this movie are all fantastic, and just everything they do in this film with the comedy and the characters and just the references and the callbacks and all sorts of great character moments with everyone. Um, it just really makes this movie for me. So Thor Ragnarok is going in the S tier. Black Panther 2018 is going in the A tier. I love this movie. Love the character of Killmonger. I think he's a great villain. Overall, it's kind of some of the CGI that kind of makes this movie come down from an S tier to an A tier for me. Some of it just kind of looks unfinished, especially the final battle between T'Challa and Killmonger down in the the train area where they ship the different stuff. You know what I'm talking about. That scene just didn't quite do it for me, and it's supposed to be a final battle, and it felt kind of anticlimactic. But everything leading up to it, I thought was great. But yeah, Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. I thought he was great as the character. Whew, it's getting hot in here with this light, and I have no windows open. But yeah, Black Panther going in the A tier. Avengers Infinity War 2018 definitely has to go in the S tier. What can I say about this? Obviously, let's move on. Obviously, it's going to go in the S tier. It's Avengers Infinity War. Thanos is a great villain, and that ending, holy crap. Ant-Man and the Wasp 2018 goes in the C tier. I almost wanted to put it in the D tier, but I was being a little nicer to it. It has some redeeming qualities-ish, I guess. Paul Rudd is hilarious as ever, so that's mainly the only redeeming quality. With a movie like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, there's a lot going on, but they balance it well. And with this movie, there's just essentially three different villains. You have Ghost, and then Lawrence Fishburne's character. You have Sonny Birch, and then you have the FBI or whatever. And it's just there's too much going on in one movie. It's a little too convoluted and just all over the place. And then also on top of trying to escape the FBI and trying to escape Sonny Birch and trying to escape Ghost, they're also trying to get Hope's mom out of the quantum realm. It's just a lot going on, and it doesn't quite do it for me. So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp goes in the C tier. As for Captain Marvel 2019, I also have to put that in the C tier. Nothing against Brie Larson. I know a lot of people like to hate on her on the internet, but I think she's beautiful. I'm kind of in love with her, to be honest. But yeah, this movie just doesn't quite do it for me either. I don't know, because there's just so many other good Marvel movies. I mean, I think the real standout for this movie for me is Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn. And just having that perspective of starting off thinking that the Skrulls are evil, but they turn out to be good guys, and the people that Captain Marvel is working with, those are the evil people. The Kree, I think. But yeah, at the end of the day, Nick Fury, the de-aging stuff looks pretty good. Nick Fury's always great. Samuel L. Jackson's always great, but not my favorite. So, Avengers Endgame 2019. Do I even have to say anything? Obviously, it's going to S tier. I think I like this movie more than Avengers Infinity War. And from the trailers alone, it looked really serious, but the movie was surprisingly funny, especially with Fat Thor, which a lot of people hate, but I don't mind. And all the callbacks going back to the 2012 Avengers, actually going back to that, and just different things it sets up for the future, like Loki. It's just a really great film, and it has a lot of impactful moments with Iron Man and Captain America, and just so many great moments in this movie. But yeah, obviously Avengers Endgame is going in the S tier. Oh, we're getting close to being finished here. Pretty close. I don't know if you can tell, but I am sweating bullets. This light's pretty hot. But yeah, post Endgame, we have Spider-Man Far From Home 2019. I'm going to put that in the B tier just because the character of Mysterio was too predictable. They were trying to make him out to be a hero, and it was so obvious to so many people that he was not. So that little twist, no, it didn't quite do it for me. But I still like Spider-Man, so that's why it's going in the B tier. I still love Spider-Man. WandaVision 2021, the first Disney Plus TV show that I'm putting on this tier list, goes in the B tier. I recently rewatched it before Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and it seems like, it's cool that they're trying to do a different thing with, having the different sitcoms and stuff like that in the different eras, but it doesn't leave itself enough time to have like a satisfying ending, I guess. It has a pretty satisfying ending the way they send off like Vision and the kids, but overall, this show doesn't quite do it for me. And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier 2021, also in the B tier, doesn't quite do it for me either. I think if they had John Walker being the main villain of this first season, or probably they're only doing one season, and then making Captain America 4 with Anthony Mackie as Captain America. I think if they would have focused on John Walker being the main villain of the series, I think it would have been a lot better. But having the Flag Smashers in there, I really didn't care for their villain characters. So they were pretty forgettable. Never really cared for them. But yeah, John Walker was great. So that's why it's going in the B tier. As for Loki 2021, I am definitely putting this I almost said movie, this show in the S tier. I love this show. Can't wait to rewatch it before the second season. Might rewatch it soon. I don't know. But Tom Hiddleston as Loki is definitely one of my favorite characters slash actors in the MCU. So definitely got to put Loki in the S tier. And also Sylvie is a great character. Mobius is a great character as well. Lots of great things in that series for me. Oh, let me get a deep breath here. I've been talking a while. Wow, been talking for 20 minutes. Black Widow 2021 goes in the C tier. Never really cared for this movie that much. There's some kind of redeeming qualities. I mean, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is great, but I don't know. It just felt like they made it too late, But it's cool that we have that character. Oh shoot, what's her name? I'm forgetting now. You know what I'm talking about, the sister. Shoot, what's her name? I can't remember at the moment, but you know what I'm talking about. I like her. She's cool. What If 2021, the first animated show from the MCU, goes in the B tier. There's another season coming, so I think it can turn it around for me. But as for this one, I'm not like blown away, but I still enjoyed certain things in it. So yeah, pretty decent show. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings 2021. I love this movie so much. I'm putting it in the S tier. It's probably not everybody's like favorite Marvel movie or like one of their favorites, but for me, I've rewatched this movie so many times. I have so much fun with it, and definitely one of my favorites. I don't know why I love it so much compared to like these other behemoths, but I don't know, something about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think I saw it like maybe 3-4 times in the theaters. And a few other times on Disney Plus. I bought the movie too on my Vudu. I love it. I love it. Can't wait to see more from that character going forward. Eternals 2021 goes in the D tier. I hate this movie. This is the one movie I was referencing in the beginning. I think I referenced that in the beginning. There's one movie on this list. Like, out of all the Marvel movies and shows, I don't really hate any of them. But if I had to say I hated anything, it would be Eternals. I hate Eternals so much. Didn't mind it the first time I watched it. The more I thought about it, I'm just like, oh, I don't like this movie. You have such good actors in here. You got such great cinematography. And just a fucking terrible story. I really do not like it at all. And comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you really love this movie, I'd love to know why. I don't think a whole lot of people liked it, but for me, like, if I had to say I hated any Marvel movie, it would be this one. I do not like Eternals, so that's why it's going in the D tier. Hawkeye 2021, I put that in the A tier. I really like the show. I got a poster right there. It was a lot different from a lot of the other Marvel shows. It was a lot more street level. Not as high stakes, but still, great moments with great villains. Maya Lopez was a great villain. Spoiler alert, bringing in Kingpin, that was a big surprise. And just the dynamic between Clint and Kate Bishop, I think, is really great in the show. So Yelena, that's the name. Yelena also shows up in the show too, and I think she has a great dynamic with Kate Bishop. But yeah, Hawkeye definitely goes in the A tier. I can't wait to see more of what they're doing with that in the future, if they're making another season or not. Spider-Man No Way Home 2021 obviously is going in the S tier. bringing in my childhood favorite Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, and somebody I always kind of liked as Spider-Man, who I think deserved more of a shot, was Andrew Garfield. And then having Tom Holland, and then bringing all the villains together too, Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, just bringing in everybody, and oh, it was such a good time. I watched this movie 3-4 times in the theaters. I've seen it a few more times at home. I mean, what can I say? It's Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, I had to put in the S tier. It's like one of those Endgame situations. Like, how could you not? And then Moon Knight. Got a poster right there, which may soon be replaced with the Miss Marvel poster, because I put Moon Knight in the B tier. I was hoping to like it a little bit more, but they just didn't leave themselves enough time at the end. If you listen to any of my reviews for Moon Knight, you'll know that after, like, I think there were 6 episodes, after the 5th episode, and hearing how short the next episode's going to be, I was just like, how are they going to wrap this up in that short amount of time? And they do it decently, but not well enough, in my opinion. There's a lot of great things they do with the show, dealing with mental health and, you know, abuse. Oh, you know what I'm talking about if you watch the show. It's dark. It's one of the darkest things that Marvel has had so far, maybe except for Doctor Strange 2. But yeah, Moon Knight was pretty good, but I still have to put in the B tier. Just, I wanted more out of it. And Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the most recent release, and the last thing on this tier list, is going in the B tier. I expected more from the movie. I appreciate a lot about the movie, what they were trying to do. I love Sam Raimi's direction in the film, making it more of a horror movie. You know, Moon Knight was dark, but this was way darker, and it's taking the MCU to different places where I never thought it might be able to go, but this is a straight-up horror movie, so I respect it for that, and I respect Sam Raimi for that as well. So, yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, not a terrible movie, but I pretty much put it right up there with the first Doctor Strange. Doesn't blow me away, but America Chavez also was a really great character in that film. Excited to see more from her going forward, and maybe she could even show up in Miss Marvel, possibly. Do we like Young Avengers kind of thing? I would like that. Big deep breath there, because I just got done with that big-ass list of all those movies and TV shows from the MCU. But yeah, there's a lot on that list, but if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment your ranking down below. And yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram at Pop Culture Podcast. Let me know what you thought of my tier list, and maybe let me know what yours is, see how they differ. I would love to see what other people think. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, and that's all I got for the podcast as well. So see you in the next one.